The Cardinals' carnage continues. Yes, the rash of injuries is on the uptick. Unfortunately, 2025 has become a war of attrition for the Redbirds, and another star has gone down. The latest on Marvin Harrison Jr. and crew. It's an emergency PHNX Cardinals podcast now. What's going on, PHNX Cardinals Emergency Podcast? I'm going to go big time live today. We're not even in studio, okay? We're hanging out here in the main studio space at PHNX Sports, hanging out with you. Had to bring you an emergency pod because, well, the Arizona Cardinals bloodbath continues. You thought it was bad? Well, it gets worse. Another star down for the Redbirds, according to head coach Jonathan Gannon. Well, let him tell you himself from the facility just earlier today.
Marvin, 2 nights ago, had surgery, appendicitis, so he's going to be out.
So Marv goes down, suffered an appendicitis just, it seems like a day after the Cardinals just got physically beaten by the Seahawks, where they suffered a ton of injuries in that game. We were anticipating a long injury report on Wednesday, but it gets worse than that. So you've got Marv on top of Zay Jones going to injured reserve. We saw him pop his Achilles. He's done for the year. Simi Fioco, he suffered an arm injury. He's officially on injured reserve as a few minutes ago. And Marvin Harrison Jr., you can very least, rule him out against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. And then we'll just see how long this appendicitis and the surgery that he underwent on Monday is going to keep the 4th overall pick on the shelf. But it's just like the hits keep coming. I mean, I had Noah put together a long list of Arizona Cardinals injuries that, dates back to training camp 2024 when they had key players start to miss significant time for this season. You had off-season injuries included in that, training camp, pre-training camp injuries, and it's just continued. That barrel's rolled downhill at full steam and is actually picking up steam here. Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Of course, most PHNX Sports. This episode brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Never ordinary. Deposit $10, bet $5, and get $200 in bonus bets. Thank you for joining us. I see your super chats in there. Spread the word. We're live here on an early Wednesday afternoon, not even afternoon. It's too early for this crap, right? But let's take a look at the war of attrition for the Arizona Cardinals that they're losing. It started way back in 2024 training camp. B.J. Ojulari suffers the significant knee injury. He was on PUP to start. His designation his practice window was opened a couple weeks ago. B.J. still trying to make his way back from that. Bilal Nichols suffered the stinger in the Packers game last year. He was on PUP, and then, he made his way back this year. Sean Murphy-Bunting suffered an injury away from the facility. He's on the non-football injury list. That started kind of the defensive backs room struggling to stay healthy. Walter Nolen, the day training camp was opening, Jonathan Gannon announced that he was going to go on PUP with the calf issue. He missed 7 games. He's finally back. We're going to get an update as far as Walter Nolen in a new injury that he suffered in Sunday's game to the Seahawks. I didn't get too much of an update from Jonathan Gannon. He said you kind of see it on the reports as the Cardinals hold a walkthrough today, not even full practice. And I think they just kind of said, look, we are absolutely just getting beaten down. We're going to take an extra day here and host a closed walkthrough. And hopefully some of these guys that are on the mend can get a little extra time here. So Walter Nolen, no official update on that. But I think, Johnny Venerable reporting yesterday, he expects good news there. Starling Thomas lost in training camp with the knee injury. J.J. Russell had a scary injury, the neck. He was on IR. You had Val Sin. He was an undrafted rookie free agent. Hayden Connor was a 6th-round pick. He went down. He's on IR. Could return this season. Justin Jones went on IR just a couple days after the beginning of the season, but he was injured back in training camp. Christian Jones on IR, potential return. Joey Blunt went down in the season opener. LJ Collier not soon after that. Garrett Williams got hurt in week 2 against the Panthers. That was a bit of a bloodbath as him and Will Johnson went down under a great injury. You'll see Will Johnson on here dealing with another injury, the hip pointer, along with that groin issue. He's missed significant time. James Conner lost for the year. The gruesome, ugly foot injury. Trey Benson, he had the knee issue. Was it a meniscus? We're still waiting him to return. I think he will return. He was not designated return today, so I would imagine it's just another week there for Trey Benson. Tip Ryman, the ugly injury, the leg issue, looked like it was one of those ones where he had people down on one knee on the field, and Ryman being carted off. Vokalek, an ugly neck injury, he was IR'd. Blake Gillikin went on the IR with a back. Kyler Murray, the high-profile foot injury that we've been following for so long, and we'll get into it at 4:30. Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano with an update as far as Kyler Murray and his future with the Arizona Cardinals. But then it continues here. Mack Wilson Sr., as Jonathan Gannon announced he would be out this week. Hearing the Mack Wilson Sr. injury is significant with the ribs. And as I mentioned, Zay Jones, Achilles, done for the year. Simi Fioco, IR. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., the appendicitis is wide receiver 1. Who's left in the wide receiver room for the Arizona Cardinals? Noah, our producer, just got an invitation to work out today. I think he'll be gone. They did sign Andre Bocellia. They found Andre Bocellia. He's been on the practice squad. Him making the journey for so many years back and forth from the practice squad, we're going to restart that. So Bocellia getting his next crack here at the active 53. He's the 4th wide receiver that the Arizona Cardinals will have in that room. They also added Jalen Virgil to the practice squad, but just 4 active wide receivers on the active roster, on the 53. You've got, I think, maybe Tayshaun Palmer. T-Palm's got a chance to maybe be elevated between now and the game against San Francisco, but if you wanted to buy stock on Michael Wilson, the time would be now. That's right, Alberto. If you're trying out for wide receiver, good luck. It's turned into have the Arizona Cardinals in 2025 turned into the Invincible movie with Mark Wahlberg, where they're going to have just host tryouts for the general public to come in, and you've just got a slew of just misfit toys getting in there, dressed in costume that are going to run routes, and then somebody emerges and is going to be maybe a savior for the Cardinals. Not likely, but this has just it's gone from bad to worse. As we saw with Espo on Southwest Bias, the Cardinals receiving room is down tremendous. Like there were people that were banging the table for depth to this receiver room way back in March, April, and May. And yes, Cordoso, Michael Wilson legacy game would go a long way. It's either going to be Michael Wilson stepping up, going into a phone booth and emerging as Superman, or very least playing Robin to Trey McBride's Batman. I think Trey McBride, the latter there, is the most likely scenario. Trey McBride minimum 20 targets on Sunday. I mean, they have no other option. They have no other option as far as where to turn to as far as this injury-depleted roster. And the Cardinals needing a big win come Sunday against the 49ers team that we know has faced significant injuries from the jump. So the Cardinals just sit here, and it's not good. We saw Cody Simon get his opportunity on Sunday with Mack Wilson facing the injuries, the rib injuries before that. I think Cody Simon just gets the nod, probably the bulk of the remainder of the regular season. And that's good when you're sitting at 3-6. When you're sitting, if I had told you that back in September, you'd say that's not good. But Cody Simon getting a chance to develop, I think that's, individually for that player, that's something that you can look at as a positive there. But the Cardinals, it couldn't be worse for them right now. We've got you guys killing in the chat. Hit that like button, even though this is not a great topic to talk about and have an emergency pod about. But the Cardinals, where do they go from here? When you're Jonathan Gannon and you're coming off the most non-competitive performance on the 25 slate, and you're probably saying, hey, I need to be close to full strength, and you're the farthest thing from it you've been all season long. It's got to be deflating. You got to pick yourself up from the bootstraps and do all the cliches just to try to get yourself in a position to find success. I mean, the Walter Nolen thing, like, you need Walter Nolen now just for that defensive front seven to provide maybe a boost to help overcome maybe not having a Will Johnson in the lineup for a second consecutive week. Also, along with that, like, JG announced Baron Browning showed up on Monday, a little groggy, and needed to go into concussion protocol. So Baron Browning, your pass rush, not at full strength. And BJ Ojolari is somebody that you're looking at. Maybe is this the week that he could finally be activated? But what do you expect from him as far as being able to contribute in the pass rush, being able to contribute with his last true playing time coming at the end of the 2023 season, his rookie year? That's mind-boggling. So look, I feel you, Cardinals fans. I mean, you've got Espo going on and saying that it's a 100-year curse. That's the reason for this. The Pottsville championship curse might be deeper seated than that. Marvin Harrison Jr., Chaff asking, what's up with Marv? It's appendicitis. And he underwent surgery on Monday night. And if you're looking at that, there's a precedent for appendicitis and having that surgery across the league. And I think it's anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. So at the very least, missing the 49ers game. I think the Jacksonville game the following week is maybe a bit too aggressive. And then hoping, Marv can make it back when the calendar flips to December. I think that's probably the best bet for Marvin Harrison Jr. Hopefully, and when you look at that, appendicitis and some of your options, there's your more invasive surgery and there's not so invasive. And if he had, the less invasive, it might, give him a chance to get back by the Jags. But I think that's a little aggressive. The Bucs game maybe on the road on November 30th. Rams December 7th might be the best bet there for Marv, but that's just reckless speculation on my behalf. But I see you guys. You got some super chats along there. Alberto saying, yeah, I mean, this is where the conversation gets interesting. JG going to get 2 redshirt seasons. When you start to kind of look at what's the writing on the wall for this coaching staff falling short of expectations in a pivotal year 3, where there was expectations for them to contend for a playoff spot, like they did last year. They played serious games, important games in December and then fell short. That they were going to come back here in 2025 and they were going to be a team that was going to be relevant and in contention for the entire season. They've done anything but that. After beating some bad teams to start the season to go 2-0, they've been a dumpster fire since. They've dropped 6 of 7. They're 3-6 overall. The rest of the division has trended up. Well, they've just been down in the dumps. And what does that mean for Gannon, for his staff? Can he use this as a crutch to maybe get himself another season? I think that it was already kind of written that Jonathan Gannon was going to be, it was more likely than not that he was going to get a 4th season, regardless of what transpired the rest of the year. But now do all these injuries playing a major factor in how they're going to finish this thing? I think Gannon, at the very least, with some staff changes and tweaks, is going to get a 4th shot at this. Brian Dable he won a playoff game his first season. That created some goodwill, gave him a longer leash. But I think as far as Gannon and where it transcended some, the playing field, what they've been able to get going culture-wise, what they've been able to get going as far as moving this team into the modern day football with the new facilities coming in what 2027. I still get people saying, "Hey, the wins weren't there." Gannon could get a pass here, and what's it going to look like with some pretty significant changes coming potentially in one of the play callers, and a facelift at the quarterback position. I think that's a very real reality for the Arizona Cardinals, and Gannon getting the pass. Like 2023, there were no expectations. This thing was a full down tear down, and they took it to the studs, and the Cardinals were able to rebuild this thing and have the draft capital the following offseason. They didn't do much in free agency, and then they were able to have a big free agency this previous one and match with what they were able to build through the draft, as they want to be a draft and develop team. They were a team that now in year 4, you're going to have to do it with the pressure of doing it without clarity at the quarterback position. Let's get into these super chats. You guys are crushing it here today in Emergency Podcast. We will have the 4:30 pod per usual. We'll get Johnny Venerable on here. We'll give his thoughts as far as these injuries. Just a couple of super chats. Let's start it off with Manny Ramirez. Manny Wood, the Arizonian sports curse is real. Can't confirm or deny that. Can't deny that something beyond just the power of putting together a team and putting them on the field and seeing if they can, find success or get it done. It's more than, what's going on. The Cardinals just can't get right. I mean, let's put up the injuries again. They have just been ravaged by injuries, and that's not something you want to hang your hat on. But outside of their offensive line, they're down their QB1, and you can we can have that conversation about, how legit is the foot injury, but it's landed Kyler on IR. Whether it's Cardinals doctors or other doctors that are saying that the foot, it was significant enough where they needed a little extended time here. Marv isn't facing any injury list, but he's going to miss games here. So your wide receiver one's down. You've got RB1 and RB2 out, and James Conner and Trey Benson. And then you've got your top blocking tight end, Tip Ryman, who was lost for the season as well. So those are significant injuries there to the offensive side of the football. And then, wide receiver 3 and Zay Jones, and, a guy like Semi Fioco who plays a role on teams, and also in the passing game. Plus the secondary has just been kind of a revolving door. It's like one guy gets healthy, the other guy goes down. And that vicious circle of injuries just continues. Another super chat here. Thank you, Short Stack Goblin 199. You must test us, so God, my faith is wavering. I imagine Short Stack Goblin saying that with his knees, just staring up to the clouds, saying, you must test us, so God. We're Cardinals fans. You would have thought we would have bowed out a long time ago. Keeping it going with the super chats here. How about Nick Garcia? Does Bidwell only like TV revenue? Interesting question. I mean, there's collective bargaining. There's TV revenue. I think he's got his hand in the pot just like all the other 31 owners in the league as far as how to build revenue. And the Cardinals, I think this offseason, we're trying to increase more of a home field advantage, and we're trying to limit as far as who you sell your season tickets to and how often you sold season tickets to. I haven't heard really an update on that, but no, I mean, I think he likes all revenue. Keeping it going. How about our guy, Charlie Sinclair, a resident Chargers fans? You really think guys need an offensive guy at head coach, especially if you're going to draft a quarterback? Or he's saying this. You really think guys need an offensive guy at head coach, especially if you're going to need a quarterback? JG has shown questionable decision-making with the offense. He's doubled, tripled down on Drew Petzing. He's leaned into the guys as far as who he trusts at key positions going forward. And yeah, I think just top to bottom, this organization hasn't done itself any favors as far as finding success on the offensive side of the football. So you have to look if they were going to make a change, whether it's the head coach or whether it was the main coordinator on that side of football, your OC, you need to bring in somebody with some experience. There's not going to be any Ben Johnson there. Like the Ben Johnson now who's trending that way this season into this offseason is Clint Kubiak. Like Clint Kubiak is going to be the it coordinator, I think, that people are going to that are going to be banging down the door of Seattle to request for interviews. When you look at Clint Kubiak's resume, it's getting more and more impressive by the day. I mean, I saw this just yesterday on the social media streets. Brock Purdy, when he had his 30 touchdown performance for the San Francisco 49ers and their offense was a juggernaut, who was their passing game coordinator? Clint Kubiak. He was also, with that organization, Sam Darnold was a backup. When you look at what Clint Kubiak was able to do, make chicken salad and chicken bleep with that Saints offense to start last year, you get pretty impressed. He was able to take Derek Carr, Rashid Shaheed, and the collection of lack there of talent in New Orleans, and they were a juggernaut for like 3 games. And luckily, that coaching staff gets blown up, and the Seattle Seahawks and Mike McDonald was like, come on over. We're going to couple you with Sam Darnold. And it's like, if you're looking to make a change, a guy like Clint Kubiak, that's the top coordinator that, people are he's going to be the number one target for a lot of people because the offensive side is so important. Brian Dable, when you get into the OC stuff, we'll see what happens with Stefanski. Like Stefanski, despite the Browns being, the perennial dumpster fire and factory of sadness that they are, 2-time coach of the year, could he earn himself, another season if they make a change at the quarterback position and give him, say, hey, you actually set me up with something here and you can let me prove whether I'm worth my salt as a coach. But yeah, I mean, look, that's such an important decision going forward. Like we've seen some defensive coaches find success, but it's from the CEO standpoint where they found somebody who was going to run that offensive side, and they had, the sense of conviction that they could do it. But it's been rare. It's been rare. So offensive side, I mean, that seems anytime you see the coaching cycle, it seems to lean towards like 60-40 of 70-30, where the offensive guys are getting the chance at the openings. So yeah, Deb saying technically the season's not over, but it's over for us for all intents and purposes. Yeah, I mean, you get that. Like we're hanging on by a thread. Cardinals were on life support, and I think that the beatdown in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest was kind of the final blow. But then the fallout from that, it's been damning, and it's going to be tough to come back, because you saw this as a home game coming up on Sunday, and some people will scoff, but it's a winnable game. This is a team that you nearly beat in San Francisco, despite an awful offensive performance. You lost by 1 to Mac Jones and crew with a walk-off field goal. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Yeah, to who is this PUP saying, hoping the stadium is empty on Sunday? I don't hope that. I mean, but there are probably going to be some empty seats. But the ugly reality of it is San Francisco is in this thing. It's 6-3, and they have a rabid fan base that I'm sure is going to invade State Farm Stadium come Sunday. But there's probably a lot of Cardinals fans that had checked out previous to this, and with 18 not being out there, 1 not being out there, and some of your top players and biggest names not being available, yeah, I can see a lot of Arizona Cardinals fans saying, "Pass. I'm gonna go find myself a fall festival somewhere." I don't know. I don't know what people do in the fall. I haven't done anything outside of football in the fall for my entire adult life, so I don't know. No, what do people do in the fall?
They go to cornfields,
okay.
pumpkin patches, and
Pumpkin patch, like post Halloween.
Yeah, what's the like cider mills?
Yeah, cider was standing out to me.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go taste cider tasting.
I
Is
don't
that a
know.
thing?
Yeah, I don't think they have cider out here though.
Oh
Maybe.
man, this is what a big 2025 season that we had covered with a ton of enthusiasm this offseason, saying this is going to be the Cardinals. This is going to be a year that is going to be they're on the precipice of something special. And yeah, there it is. Brian saying at this point, apple picking seems appealing than watching the Cardinals. And maybe just go do some apple picking. A nice fall festival sounds good. Look up your local community events calendar and just say, I am forlonged. The 2025 season has just beaten me into not being able to really watch and enjoy the 2025 Cardinals. So one thing is, like, we're going to continue to cover this team. We're going to continue to follow this soap opera and the tangled web that they weave. Jeremy, as I said, Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano with an update as far as the future of Kyler Murray. We'll get into that at 4:30. But just we couldn't get away from not having an emergency pod today when Gannon got up there in front of the mic and said, no Marv, appendicitis, Baron Browning's in concussion protocol. We're already ruling Mack Wilson out. We're hearing it's significant. It's something that it's going to be tough. Like, we'll see how long he's going to be on the mend. Semi Fioco Zay Jones, as we heard on Monday, and became official today, on injured reserve, and Andre Bocellia is not going to get to enjoy Fall Festival this weekend. He's going to be in uniform and part of the active roster. Yeah. You guys are crushing it, though. Cornfields in Arizona. I don't know. Maybe you got to get west of the state. Maybe go find some of the cabbage fields out there. You can go find some sort of like citrus trees. Those are nice, right? Go find yourself lemon or oranges or grapefruit.
I bet it smells good.
Yeah.
I bet you those places smell great.
Go frolic in an orchard. No, I'm not. I would never condone giving up on NFL Sundays. I don't care if my team is going for an 0-17 season. Noah's been there before.
I think I gave up.
You took up a different hobby.
Yeah.
Needlepoint.
Not at that season, but at another season.
Yeah, Izzy Moses. I hear Prescott is nice this time of year. Yeah, go up to I-17 somewhere. Go up the Beeline Highway somewhere. Bird watching. No, we will not be an actual bird watching podcast. Even though Johnny and myself are getting up there in age, we have not turned to getting out our binoculars and bird watching. We continue to watch these birds. Short stack Goblin saying just tank for QBs. That's the only way. Is that the only path? And then you look at like which quarterbacks, which one are you tanking for now? I mean, we put it up yesterday. Noah put together the graphic and we're looking at it, and there's like 6 viable options as the college football season is produced. And like, I think some of those are fringe, like Sam Levitt. We don't know like what his future may be. Does he stay in school? A lot of the analysts, draft experts seem to be leaning that way. Then you got like, look at this, like Fernando Mendoza. He goes from 1 to like 47th on some guys, on some big boards. You got Dante Moore, who goes from 1 to 12. You've got Garrett Nussmeier, who goes from like 4th to 61st is some of these big boards. Lenora Sellers, 2 to 49. Ty Simpson, probably the lowest floor, highest floor and lowest ceiling, 1 to 12. So you got to pick, like, and there's no wrong answers as far as today goes, as far as November 12th goes, as far as what quarterback you want to tank for. But there's options. But now you got to kind of decipher how good those options are. But the news of the day was, already with Kyler Murray down, already with Zay Jones and Simi Fioco going on IR, Marvin Harrison Jr. is out for this week against the 49ers after an appendicitis. By Michael Wilson stock, maybe Greg Dortch stock. Xavier Weaver going to get an opportunity. Andre Bocellia will get his chance. He's now on the active roster for the practice squad. 4 wide receivers, and they've got Tayshawn Palmer, a couple other guys on practice squad that could stand in elevation. You guys are great for hanging out with us for 30 minutes here for an emergency podcast on the PHNX Cardinals podcast. We continue our march to 50K subscribers. Become our next subscriber. Subscribe and like this video. Tell us, tell us what fall activity you're doing this Sunday. No, I'm just kidding. In the comments. And also, who do you think the Cardinals' number 1 target will be in the passing game? Not named Trey McBride. And we'll talk to you guys at 4:30 here this Wednesday afternoon on PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.